It's just doing its thing. There it is.
Oh, Minnie's Mark.
Well, we got a lot of public.
Yeah, that's the live streaming chair.
Right. Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Woodley Town Council's Planning and Community Meeting, being held on the 26th of August 2025. Woodley Town Council meetings are now recorded with recording streamed live and stored on the Town Council's YouTube channel. By virtue of attending the meeting, you consent to having your image and audio recorded for this purpose. If you do not wish for your image and audio to be recorded, then please do not stay for the meeting. For those in attendance, we're not expecting a fire drill tonight, so if you hear the fire alarm, please head to the nearest fire exit and congregate at the fire assembly point by the Oakwood Centre at the front of Woodford Park. Thank you. Right, first item on the agenda is apologies.
Yes, we've had apologies from councillors Baker, Horskins, Jewell and Lewis, and both councillors Baker and Horskins are attending virtually.
Thank you very much. Okay, item 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? No. No, I will declare one, which is for 251782 11 Headley Road. I know the applicant, and for that reason I won't take part in the discussion, or if it goes to a vote, into a vote. Okay. Right, minutes of the Planning and Community Committee meeting held on the 22nd of July 2025. This is to approve the minutes of the Planning Committee. They're on page 5, and if you're happy that they're a true record of that meeting, I can sign them as such. Does anybody, any objections? Yes. Are you happy? Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Actions and follow-ups. Page 4. Sorry, item 4, page 11. If there's anything at all that we need to discuss on that, I think they've mainly approved the plan. That's December 25. Town notice boards, any further?
We'll have a report going to the next Strategy and Resources meeting to allocate funding for those, and then it'll come back here to agree locations. And
All right, I have a question about that. So it says it's going to SNR because we need some extra cash, but then it's coming back to us. But who has the who's responsible for saying this is where we're going to push them? Is that here or then?
that can be here.
All right.
Most of them, there is a process to go through, because we can't just put them where we want anyway. So there's a permission process through Wokingham for where they might go. I think most of the locations where we have currently got them will be close to where we want them. But yes, there's no reason why
and has Anuska commented on this as well? Because it kind of fits in with the communication plan, doesn't it? And whether there actually is any value in having them and all that kind of stuff. And I wonder what criteria we were using to decide.
Yeah, that hasn't been discussed in that way, but actually, yeah, that would be a useful way to.
Yeah, yes, because I mean, I know we've got a couple that are in weird places.
There are, and some are kind of buried and not in the right.
Yeah,
not in the right spot at all. But we do use them quite a bit for both the council notices, and they are the ones that are in decent locations are well used.
Yeah, it's footfall, isn't it? So
yeah.
Are there any proposals that you can think of for new sites?
Town centre.
Town centre.
And I know we have had a couple of other suggestions, and there's one that had always been a problem just because the way it was secured down by the shops. Excuse me. At No,
just tars around the
right. So there are a couple of question marks over those, but what we'll do is work through the list of ones where we have had them in the past, and where we've got suggestions for new ones.
And sorry, I've got another couple of just things on the minutes that haven't come up on the actions, but we had that guidance from Wokingham about simultaneous applications on the same site. Very kind of useful, and we've got a couple of other bits and pieces we've had in the past around guidance and sort of training. And I wondered if it was possible for the officers to set us up a shared area in the same way that we've got for cycling, that we could store this, perhaps just with a little index, and so we can go back and look at this, and not just us, anybody else who comes onto planning, because it seems a bit of a waste. And I'm always digging around trying to find things because I'm not very systematic. I mean, they're saying obviously no rush, but that will be a good thing. And the only other thing was about the we're still waiting. My understanding is for confirmation that Wokingham are actually going to charge for parking by the Aviation Museum. But we haven't got an action to remind ourselves to then chase them up about our sign in Coleman's Moor Road. And I don't know whether it's worth adding to that. I don't know when they're going to ratify it. It seems to be a mysterious process. But they certainly need to come and change that board.
Yes.
Because it's got a list of free parking areas, of which one is the Aviation Museum. And it's also really just bit of housekeeping that they should have flagged. So that will just annoy them a bit.
Right. A cycling and working group. There's nothing new on that at all, is there? Because that's really
Sorry,
not
what
yours.
are you talking about now?
Cycling and working group. Walking group. Cycling and walking working group.
Oh, well, yeah, that one, yeah, we won't be touching that until we've got finished this bit of work we're doing at the moment. That's all about it, isn't it? No more is done, I think, now. Yep. Okay. Right. Moving on.
Can I ask one question? Bill 29.2, the signage on Bader Way and the foliage. Just the general one on that. I'd like us to find out what Wokingham Borough attitude is to trees in private gardens that are causing difficulty for pedestrians by overgrown grain. I mean, we got one on the corner of Reading Road to Farriers Close. Now, in fairness, the owner has done some remedial work. He's chopped off the very low branches, but they're still sagging and you're still hitting your head on the branches as you walk around.
I can say that somebody has obviously reported one that's fairly local to me that was growing across the pavement and made it extremely difficult to work, but because it's totally cut back.
Yeah.
And I think that was follow up from somebody reporting it to Wokingham Borough. So yeah,
you can do it on, because I had one in Belmarsh last year, and I mean, if it's council stuff, they do it themselves, but otherwise they contact the owner and get them to do it.
Yeah.
So but it
This, I think, has happened to the one on the corner of Reading Road, because he has done, in fairness to him, he has cut a lot off, but people are still hitting their heads or having to duck as they walk around the corner.
Yeah. Well, as I said, this was over the person that explained to me, it's the walkway, I can't remember what it's called, but just near the old people's home in Weeble. And that's actually, I interviewed in a bit in that I went to see the lady at the old people's home, and she was quite open to do something about it. So I did that bit of work for Wokingham, but there is a place to raise it online. I have to say, I find the mapping software a bit awkward to use, but anyway, yes, you can do that, and that's what they advise, that if it's over a public walkway or a road or what have you, they will take on the job of chivying people to do it.
If they don't,
they don't
themselves to charge them.
Yeah.
Apparently the council will charge them.
Yes, if they get to that stage with it.
Yes, Keith.
Thank you. I was just going to answer the question about the airfield parking. There should have been an IEMD, that's an individual executive member decision, on the 21st of August. That basically is just the executive member makes the decision with officers, unlike say a full council meeting where it's made, the decision's made by the council, the full council. Believe it or not, it was actually withdrawn. So it never actually. No, don't get too excited, because they don't tell you the reasons for it. So what I would suggest that we, Kevin or Matthew, just actually sends an email to WBC to get an update of where we are on the airfield at the Air Museum, the Aircraft Museum car parking. It is a hot topic within the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, anything further? No?
What happens, please, with all these kind of hedges and things that have been allowed to overgrow the footpath by up to halfway?
With what, from a private
Yeah.
property?
Yeah,
Well, I think the same thing applies with that as it does with the hedgerows, doesn't it?
You just have to raise a ticket. and,
Yes, yeah.
I know there's, it's Leylandii the worst, aren't they? There's part of our road.
yeah.
If you've got a buggy or a wheelchair, you're going
Yeah.
to struggle to get around,
Yeah.
especially around the corners.
And I have to say, one of the worst offenders is actually here at the park. Okay,
What, in the park?
now the front hedge that runs along there, it's overgrown the footpath by quite a way, so it only leaves just enough room for the wheelchair with 1 inch to spare before I drop off the curb.
Yeah, I'll undertake to go and check that. I know they have actually been keeping it tidier than had been previously, but yeah, I'll go and have a look at that and see if there's a problem. Is there a particular area,
Yeah,
Linda, that's
about
worked?
3/4 of the way along. If you come out with me tonight, I'll show you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? No. Okay, we come on to current planning applications on page 13. And we'll do them in order. We have no members of the public here, so we can go through on order. So the first one, 251626, which is 48 Nightingale Road, Woodley, householder application for the proposed single-storey rear and side extension. I've had a look at this. Anybody got any comments on this one at all, or are we? Nothing at all? No, we're all okay, yeah. Fine, thank you very much. 251639 shop unit, Loddon Vale Centre. Full application for the proposed installation of 2 number remote gas cooler units and 3 number floor mounted AC units with protective railings plus erection of 2.4 metre high timber fence enclosure and access gate with associated barriers following removal of existing plant enclosure. There was an objection from the flat owner of flat M. I had a look at the drawings and I can't see from the drawings what the problem will be, because that part where the gas units are going to be and the air conditioning units, above it, a single story is over the.
They're taking out,
Tesco's.
this is Tesco's, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're taking out all the old one, which is to the
Yes,
right of
that's
Tesco's,
right.
isn't it?
But he was saying it was going to obscure his view.
There's no
Well,
apartments above
it's a
Tesco's.
separate building they're putting there
Yeah,
in this application. My own comment is the previous units were all integral to the shop. Why can't this be integral to it?
Well, I read it that they're taking out the old ones and
well, I
putting
thought
in
there
new
was some
ones.
down there. I thought there
I
were
saw
some
it.
down there.
Because what they are at the
Keith,
moment,
do you know?
Yeah, following
So you've got your hand
removal.
up.
That's an existing one.
Yeah, no, I was intrigued with this one. It took me a while to get through the objections, most of which were basically non-planning objection, obscuring a view is not a planning of it there. Then I got confused because the language went from I'm the owner of this flat to I won't get money from the tenants of the retail shop. And I didn't know, does that mean the owner of the flat owns the shop? Probably not. Then there was sort of confusion about losing 4 car parking spaces. Well, if you look at the application plans, those 4 parking spaces aren't there in the plan, but if you look at Google Maps, they are there. So for me, I was fine with it because it's extending the supermarket, which has got to be a good thing for the residents. Talking about views, etc., is irrelevant. They need, I'm assuming they need upgraded AC, etc., and ventilating units because the score is going to be bigger. So that's what I've assumed. So to me, the 2.5 pages or whatever it was of objections were not really significant for me or even relevant.
Yeah.
On that.
I agree with you on what you've said, Keith. But if you look at the plan, I don't know whether you can get it up, Matt. But there's 2 entrances to the new building. One obviously is going to be the main entrance for customers to go in, and the second entrance up on the top there, I assume that is for goods going in. But on the plans that I saw, this unit is away by a couple of meters from the building, and it's obstructing the entrance for the goods entrance. Why can't that be fitted in as an integral part of the building?
There's another door there, though, isn't there? In that,
There's a door down here for the public to get in. There's
no, I mean, there's a door.
There's that
There's a
for
little
the
door.
goods. But at the moment, that is partly blocked by this new building.
Is that done to scale then?
Yeah, I would think it's a scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as far as actually
But
where
if
it's.
that came down, it would fit in and become integral to the
The only
building.
thing I put.
Can I come back on that, David and Bill? That's not, our role here is to look at what's in front of us. It's not to redesign it. So we need to be able to say that we are okay with the plan as it is, or we're not okay. And if we're not okay, what is the issue? What is the planning issue? And I would have thought if you did what you're suggesting, you're actually going to upset the owner of flat M even more, because one of the things he complains about is this cage he talks about is too close to his building. And so therefore the window cleaner can't, because he mentions the window cleaner, can't get in to clean the window. What you're proposing would put it even further back in. But the bottom line is, I don't think it's not a planning committee to start redesigning. Is there a good reason why we should say no to what the plan is in front of us?
Yeah, but it's surely a planning issue when one of the entrances is partially blocked by what they're planning to build.
It's not a planning issue because anyone can put a shed or something like that in front of an access point. It's not a fire point. All right. If it was a fire point, then potentially there might be some value in there. And actually the guy the owner of flat M actually said that this entrance, is it ME or something it is, I think, is not used. He specifically said that it's not used. I don't know, because I'm not there. I don't live there, but that's just my view.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the full drawing, there's only the two access points. That one shown there and one right at the front of the building for the customers to go in. I can't see any fire exits there at all.
Again,
So again, I would suggest that top door is going to be used as fire access also.
again, is that planning or is that building regs?
I think you're right. It's, I don't think it's planning. I think it's building regs.
And looking, I think I looked on this on Google Maps, and basically you can see where the cage is at the moment. They're going to whip that off, and then they've got this enclosed area. But if you remember, this hashed area, that's another area that's already enclosed.
That's where they do their deliveries, isn't it? Where the lorries go.
And I think there's kit in there. I don't know what that is, but I think there were half a dozen issues raised by the owner of the flat. And as far as I could see, the only one that was possibly a planning one was noise, and there was a noise report with it. So, I mean, it's not going to be beautiful, but it's not beautiful now. So
But
I don't think we've got any grounds.
that shaded area that you're on about, I don't know whether you've ever been down the old Tesco's when the lorries have turned up for delivery. They take the cages off the lorry, they store them beside that wall, and then push them in the main entrance that the public goes through. That's the way they have done it up to now.
That's right. Anyway, I've no objections.
No,
I should hurry up now
Sorry,
because
no.
I miss it.
Something to say?
No objection.
No, I have something to say on this.
Yeah.
I've been and had a look at it on Google Maps. Okay, and at the moment, there's no disabled entrance considered. No wheelchair entrance considered.
Is there not a ramp on the main entrance?
No
It was steps. I don't know if it's,
steps.
they're going to do something.
I asked, I went and asked the manager, I've been and looked at it twice. I went and asked the manager about it, and he said he didn't have a copy of the plans, and as far as he was concerned, head office would have considered everything they were going to.
So that is a kind of a separate issue then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because this application is simply for the moving this
The aircon.
aircon. I'm trying to see, is there a,
Okay, and
is
he
there a,
he suggested disabled would be able to still get in if they went round the back and went in through the storeroom. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a piece of storeroom equipment.
what? I can't remember what it's like. It's right. I know there's steps, isn't there? Is there a ramp one side of it? I can't remember.
No, it's just steps.
But if you go,
There used to be a ramp,
yeah.
but that's all fenced off now.
Yeah.
Is it worth making a comment? Yeah.
Okay, that's all fenced off. I went round the day after they'd finished the fencing. It's all fenced off and you couldn't get in.
Not part of the application.
Yeah, you can make a recommendation. can't we?
Well, I think it's a
Raise
separate
confidence,
thing.
it's a but that's, I don't know if that's a private thing with Tesco's, because obviously the plan was approved at some point in time and has been built and exists, and if it's not accessible, then that's an issue to raise with Tesco's, not with Wokingham or Wokingham's planning people.
Let's go to Robert. Robert, you've had your hand up.
So I'm trying to do this on my phone. The disabled access used to be on the right, steps at the front, and there was a slope area on the right. Has that not been retained in the new plan?
Well, it's all closed down now
It's all
because
closed
for the
down.
refurb. You can't get in there now anyway. It's all, they're just running out of a porter cabin at the moment. So whether it's going to be, you don't know till.
There's nothing shown on the plan to show a ramp anyway, is
No, there's nothing on
They
there.
wouldn't be, because
There's
the
nothing
plans
on
really
the
about the,
application to
yeah.
show around for disabled access.
It's nothing to do with this
Yeah,
application
the
that
plan.
they're talking about, so would they have put that on? But
They should have
We
put
could-
a wheelchair symbol for the access.
is there anything to stop us as a council writing and asking that, given that they're doing all this work, could they confirm?
Where it says up 300, I believe that's
A
the
slope.
indication of a slope of some description, because that's obviously the 100 for the ramp for the,
Yeah.
so it's up, there's no indication of any stepped access here. That suggests it's flat once you've got up there.
To be fair, there's usually a load of trolleys, aren't there, there? And, but as I say, since they're already doing stuff, is it appropriate for us to write and ask for confirmation that there's going to be disabled access? And while we're at it, there are no bike racks anywhere in the piazza. So, you know, could they work a couple of those in as well?
And while we're at it, we could write to the council and tell them that in the piazza, there is only one ramp to get up and down the curbs, and that at the moment is blocked by some of their building works.
I suppose that's a temporary thing, but
That's an
if
additional
we could just pose it as a question.
Application.
Sorry, for the actual planning application, you want to raise concern about.
No, well, no, it's nothing to do with that.
Application itself, but there is concern outside the application about disabled access and perhaps lack of cycle racks for the whole estate.
Probably not something to raise on the planning application. because
No,
planning-
no,
planning
no,
will
no,
just
it's a
ignore it.
separate
Yeah,
act- it's a
so
separate
I don't-
thing.
Yeah,
Just as we see all the work being done, just like,
we can contact someone at Wokingham to kind of raise that as a concern.
I knew there was a reason I don't shop at Tesco.
Okay, we're there, right. Next is 251643, 19 Norton Road, household application, proposed erection of a single-storey side extension. Any comments at all? Because it's not quite straightforward to me, but anything at all?
No.
No, okay. And then on to 251696, 39 Forest Road. This is, as you see, household application proposed, partial conversion of existing garage to an office with thermal upgrades and associated alterations to fenestration alongside the formation of a replacement hardstanding car parking space to the front. And there was objections from a neighbour. But I note here, it's,
Yeah, I thought it wasn't a planning issue.
no, I've got it down, objection not
Yeah, so
planning issue, no
yeah.
objection, consideration to neighbours' views, that's the only thing
I
I,
put exactly the same.
yeah. June,
I'm just going to ask Keith for the benefit of his knowledge on this, because my understanding is this is retrospective, isn't it? But also, my understanding is that there are conditions placed on everybody who lives on that estate, and essentially some of their what do you call it?
Covenants.
Permitted development right has been removed, and in fact, there's a mail from somebody in Wokingham confirming that essentially what they've done is looked at the Wokingham planning guidelines website and seen that a garage conversion is permitted development, and also their builder is under the impression that that's the case. But in fact, they've got some sort of rider on their and I don't know how that works, Keith. What's the sort of legal side of that? That the developer has put these things in place.
Covenants are usually in essence a civil matter, right? The reality of of estates, once you get past probably 15 years, maybe 20 years, covenants become totally inactive. Mainly because often the developer who's put those covenants in is either going to have business or been absorbed or moved away. In a classic case, for instance, where David lives, there was a covenant that it had to be over 50s or something, wasn't it? That's been largely ignored, or it's no longer valid. That's the way it works. And if there was a covenant, then I would hope, but I can't put my hand on the heart and say it would happen, it wouldn't be validated. Certainly, if it's the council that's removed permitted development rights, so if you think about it, permitted development rights is a government thing. Therefore, it's only the council who can actually remove that, and they do it quite often for good reason. So if the permitted development rights have been removed, then it will be removed by the council, and therefore they validate the application. If the permitted development rights was removed by somebody else, if that could ever happen, then they wouldn't validate it as a proper application. I don't know whether that helps you, June.
Well, having been through this system, Keith was right. There was a covenant on Farriers Close properties where you had to be over 55 to be able to buy or sell one of the bungalows. But when I applied for permitted development rights, I found there's an easement on the property put in by the council when they gave Hicks the original planning permission back in the early 80s for the development of the bungalows, which said no additional building could be made on the estate without the approval of the planning authorities. So, although they validated my original application under planned development, I had to go for full planning.
Just reading the reply from the officer at Wokingham, it's actually silent on where these conditions have come from, but my assumption is that it was part of getting planning permission for the whole estate. And so really, what do we have to do today? We're presumably not getting involved in whether it's permitted development or not, just whether it would be acceptable if it was permitted development, or in fact, what she's saying is it definitely needs planning permission because it breaches a couple of conditions. So
the question is, where's he going to put his car? And is the only place he can put his car is in the front of the building. And he'd be the only car at the front of that building because all the others have got the carports and oblique garage.
Well, what she says here, in terms of your driveway, I believe that because condition 11 only controlled landscaping, because there's two other conditions that have been breached, for 5 years, and because permitted development for Class F hard standing has not been removed, your driveway would not have required permission. So that's okay. Parking the car on the front there, that she's saying that would be permitted development. It's just the issue about effectively converting this garage, which is, I understand, is underneath his flat, into a habitable room. But as I say, I'm a bit confused about whose call this is. Just incidentally, about the objection, I think that was more, it may not be a planning issue, but from what I'd read in that, it seems that the people who own the garage next door have on 2 occasions tried to use it for something other than the car. So they wanted to put a cupboard in there to put their gardening tools in, and or store a what do they call it, a teardrop caravan, which is a bit like a pup tent on wheels. And the person who's put this request in had opposed that on the grounds of these 2 covenants that, you know, said you're only to use it to get garage a car. So I can understand why they put that in. Whether it has any sort of traction from a planning point of view, I don't know, but I can imagine it'd be quite annoying if somebody's asking to do something that they've stopped you doing. But there we go.
Yeah.
Not a planning issue, no objection. So do we have any reason to object to it?
No, subject to it, yeah.
Comment really is on the parking.
Yeah,
Um,
it's got to be an issue.
I think it could be an
It
issue.
could be an issue, yeah.
I think that from a planning point of view, they only need to provide one parking space. So if the parking space is in their front garden and the officer's saying that's okay. So I guess this is more an issue for Wokingham. I mean, inherently in itself, just converting a garage into habitable accommodation, we okay those all the time. I guess the issue is for Wokingham really about why did they put those restrictions in? And you know, what do they want to do about it? But from our perspective, I can't see,
No.
you know, there's an issue.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
No issues, no? Fine, okay. Right, next one is 251720, 28 Corbeck Drive. And that is household application for the proposed erection of a front porch, single story front extension and roof modifications. Any comments on that one at all, or?
Yeah. The only comment I have is, will it be out of character? Because it's going to be the only building with a front porch.
I saw it,
The next one, the other side of the semi's got one, I think.
That's no water.
Let's see.
Sorry,
Passing water.
sorry then.
Can we have a front elevation of that, just to see?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Picture that comes up, is it? I've got it.
I mean, per se, I've got no
Right in
objections
front
to
of
it,
it.
but.
Sorry, I looked at another one.
Yeah, I found another one. I thought it was
So
similar
it's-
to what was next door.
It's that one, I think.
No, it isn't in
And then that's
intrusive,
next door. That's the way up.
but knowing what people have said in the past about front porches.
This guy, I think.
And I think it's the
Well,
other side of the semi.
there's been no objections to it from anybody, so I mean, what's the general feeling on this one? Is there
There's
any
been quite a
problem?
lot of add-ons and things on that
yeah.
road.
Corbeck is a mixture of housing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's all standard, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem, but
No.
no, anybody?
No,
I didn't see any problem.
No. Okay. And where are we? 251730, 16 Martinet Road. Household application for proposed erection of a single story rear extension along with changes to fenestration. Anything at all on that one? Because again,
No.
couldn't see any real issues at all with it.
No.
No? Nobody, any comments? No? No, we're quite happy with that one. Okay. And 251731, so 13 Jerome Road. Cool, application to vary condition 2 of planning consent 24298498 for the proposed erection of a new front porch extension and single part 2-story side rear extension following the demolition of the existing attached garage and single-story rear addition. Condition 2 refers to the approved detail of the variation is to add an additional 1 metre to the proposed ground floor rear extension. So I think it shows it quite clearly on there what the extra 1 metre is. Yeah, you've got a line across the back. So a block plan to see whether that would make any material difference. Doesn't seem to really, does it? Anybody any objection to that one?
No.
No? No, quite happy with that. Okay. And 251782, this is the application to vary the condition 2 of listed building consent 250792 for the proposed windows and front porch replacement. Condition 2 refers to approved details. Variation is to allow retention of existing frames of windows A and B. I won't take part in the discussion or vote, so I'll leave it up to you.
I didn't see any issue with this.
Personally, no.
He's already
no,
got,
it's
he's
like
already
for
got
like.
the building
If
consent.
you look
just
at the
wants to-
photographs and send in about the windows and the work needed on them, where the wood's all rotted away, I think it's.
Well, they said they're going to do like for like. There's all the pictures of it, and they're not ancient windows. They were put in, I think they said mid-20th century, so they're not like Georgian windows.
No.
So as long as they look the same, I can't, and it's the same material, which they've said, I can't see there's an issue with it.
Councillor Bain, Councillor Stanley.
Yes, please.
Actually, no. Look what it's asking for. Condition 2, this is the one they want to vary. They actually are saying, sorry, no, yes, condition 2. They actually want to allow retention of existing frames of windows A and B. And to me, that's actually even better than replacing the window frames, because they want to retain the original, be it mid-20th century, frames. So I think this is a very good thing that they're doing, rather than do the whole lot if it's a listed building.
Okay,
Yeah.
very happy, right?
No objections.
Okay, yeah, right. And on to over the page 251794 17 Duffield Road. Household application, proposed erection of a single-storey flat roof rear extension with skylights following demolition of the existing conservatory, plus changes to fenestration following part conversion of existing garage to create a habitable accommodation. And any issues at all on that one? Because again, I can see
No,
it is a big plot, yeah, Duffield
I
Road.
had no objections to it.
No,
No objections?
No.
No?
Although I think it's interesting that they've got a loft plan in there and they're doing something to a bathroom. I don't think it's significant, but it's not mentioned at all in the little summary. It took me a while to actually track down where that was. So that, I think that should have been in the summary. If they said it's going to be an upgraded bathroom.
And you say there's a loft?
Yeah, but in the papers, there's a loft plan.
No.
Couldn't make out what that was all about, as we were just talking about a single extension. But I mean, that, you know, I don't think it will affect what we're talking about. I just wondered why it wasn't mentioned.
Obviously, perhaps it's not picked up well.
Yeah.
It picks up by the planning officer.
Yeah. But it's not a substantive problem. Just wasted 5 minutes trying to find where it was.
Right. And finally, 251890 29 Rochester Avenue, household application for the proposed single-storey front porch extension. This is part retrospective. And again, I don't see anything of issue, but if there is, no, everybody happy with that one. Okay, thank you very much. Let's see current applications, please. And we come on to planning decisions on page 15. Let's have a look. I don't see anything that we need to note. Had a quick look through them. Oh, that's better. Where's my eyesight going? Right. Everything's goes. Approved contrary to town council's recommendation, which was 108 Reading Road. Single story. Have you all had a look at this one? Where the 251184 108 Reading Road. Yeah. Obviously, we weren't happy with it, but they've obviously improved it. So, any comments? Nothing we can do, but
Councillor.
yes, Keith.
Yeah, if you recall, this was the the couple who lived on the corner of Elmwood Close and Reading Road, opposite this property, and we had quite an extensive discussion on this. It was one that came before then, which was even more ugly than the one they've approved, and I think we were pretty resolute about it really shouldn't have been approved. So just shows you, doesn't it?
Well, I'm quite looking forward to seeing it, because if you remember, I haven't got any objections to it. So I think the other thing, Keith, is it's a bit like hubris, isn't it? Because having last month discussed about our press release saying how much notice Wokingham take of what we say, and there's two that they've batted.
Yes.
Always the way.
Yes.
But interestingly enough, June, it says, quite interesting, although there are no similar first floor balconies in the street, the deep garden, well, guess what? All the properties in that street on that side have deep gardens. So what they've actually done is set a precedence now for others to go and do this.
Yeah, right.
The hanging gardens of Reading Road, it'll be.
Okay, Cowansmore Road, Cowansmore Lane, where we objected on the grounds of overbearing, massing of neighbourhood property, but again, WBC have approved it.
But they have gone through everything you
Yes.
said, haven't they,
Yes.
and explained why, so we can't ask for more than that.
So it's obviously town council recommendations, so it's a straightforward. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Plans permission. Just to note this. Application only requires consultation with adjoining neighbours, and this is 273 London Bridge Road. Erection of a single storey rear extension. I mean, that's nothing that we just need to be aware of. Yep. Tree preservation orders, quite a few. I don't know whether there's anything that is of concern. No. No. Okay. Enforcement issues on page 19. Potential breach reported, Antrim Road, breach condition notes, the access to be widened. Butts Hill Road, building a garage, site extension. See no planning permission on the website. Building site extension, one, see no planning permission on the website. Don't quite get what that one means, do you? You understand?
Someone raised it suggesting that someone should build that without having put in the planning application. That will almost be probably verbatim what the person put on there when they reported it as a potential enforcement issue.
Okay, gardens working and fenced in amenity land, WBC owned land without planning permission. Interesting, so we'll see what happens with that one. A few times, doesn't it? Enforcement closures, anything at all without going through the whole list of these. Quickly go down. No breach, applications meeting voluntary compliance.
39 Forest Grove Road is in there.
Sorry?
The carport is in there. I wonder who reported that.
Where are we? Sorry, which one?
It's the one we've just had in the.
Oh, right, yes, yeah, okay.
So that's what triggered
Yeah.
the retrospective
Right.
planning application.
Okay. Any other comments? Any other points? No. Tribulations. Let's go over. Antisocial behaviour report on page 21 from Wokingham Borough Council. We're getting these regularly now after our request. I don't think there's Headley Road Library, bottle banks, fly tipping.
All the penalty notices.
Yeah. They're obviously going through the contents and actually discovering who's
Yeah, we'll learn.
left them there, which is good.
That's twice as many as on the last report, the fly tipping.
It's good, but at least they're
Very
on
likely.
it.
Correct.
Significant challenge there as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the other categories are more or less the same as last time, but say fly tipping. It's doubled.
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually picking up on them and actually investigating, aren't they? So good. Noise. So reports, but no hotspot 5 or more. Abandoned vehicles. There's no that's been identified. It's very slow in some of these. I don't know whether anybody saw on the A4 on the Sonning roundabout to Pound Lane, the BMW that was there for a considerable amount of time, and it makes you wonder why they delay it when it's obviously been abandoned. It was
being dismantled.
It was, yeah. I think someone set fire to it. Yeah, it's good point, but it just seems to be there forevermore. Yeah. Right. Unauthorised encampment at Ashtonbury Park. Successfully evicted. There we are.
Just for information on that, we do receive notifications from Wokingham straight away when they've got information about unauthorised encampments, which is really helpful for us to manage that and make sure we're on top of it.
I was thinking that. Oh no, it's not out there, but I don't think it comes out the way, to be honest. Very surprised at the easy access to Ladd's Garden Centre that's now closed, and there's no barriers, and it's just a prime target for somebody to park. It just seems very strange that nobody's actually gone on there. Straight off the A4, you can park anywhere you like. Right, open page is the incidents of flag tipping abandoned vehicles. There's quite a number there, isn't there? 104 incidents of fly tipping. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. What's that? Transportation and highways. I've got one issue on this. I've had a letter or an email from a resident who lives in Rivermead Road, and I've had a few comments on this. Since Southern Gas Network have been closing Coleman's Road between what is Vauxhall Drive and the Bard Way, there are no buses running down Coleman's Road, whereas the diversion for vehicles can take them into Vauxhall Drive. Reading buses, which it is a bus route, Vauxhall Drive, Reading buses have just stopped all the buses going down Coleman's Road. This lady in particular lives in Rivermead Road, who is disabled. Well, she's not disabled, she has mobility problems. No family who can help. She just can't get to where she needs to be. There's no bus route at all. And there's no, to my mind, the 13 and 14 bus, there's no reason why it couldn't still run down Coleman's Road into Vauxhall Drive, but it's completely isolated everybody in the area. And I wonder whether or not we can make representation to Reading buses or through Wokingham Borough, because that gasworks apparently is going on for 16 weeks, which could take us right up to Christmas. And it's causing a few problems for a number of people down there. It just seems illogical that they've just stopped the buses.
Francis Niagara and Bellow, with their Wokingham hats on, are doing some stuff on this.
They are.
Yeah, they're raising it, and because it's running now till November, I think, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And there's nothing going on half the time when you go there.
No, well, yeah, I mean, it's just causing, so not just for people in Coleman's Road, it's all the surrounding roads as well. So, okay, if we can you,
come on, both then.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Any other issues on highways? I mean, I think we're all being blighted with roadworks, but that's always going to happen during school holidays, and then get them all done while the school holidays are on. But there's so many.
I got stuck down Wayne George Wangels Road, you go down then to go left under the railway bridge. That's all closed. Yeah.
Okay.
Just an update on the speed watch. No activity at the moment because we're focusing on the cycling network. But once we've got that out of the way, I think we need to kind of resume work on that with an action plan about how we can recruit more people, basically. But in the meantime, I've got some proposals that from various sources about raising new sites. I am holding them back at the moment though, because PC Turnham is absolutely snowed at the moment and he is focusing on new groups that are good to go. So as soon as that situation changes, I'll take it up. But I thought there's no point us pursuing that when we're not ready. You know, we're not in a position to do anything about it. And just on highways issues generally, we were talking earlier about the WBC system for flagging things. As part of the work of the cycling group, we're finding signage and so forth that needs attention. So I've raised a couple of tickets so far. It is quite a painful process. But we had malfunctioning 20-mile-an-hour signs at 2 of the sites around Wangels, and it's taken them about 3 months to get it all to a conclusion. Apparently, they, according to his reply, an engineer has collaborated on fixing these. I think they went calibrated, but anyway, but one of them is out of action still, and they will get round to it when they're ready. The other thing is we're looking at the signage on Denmark Avenue as you go up to Wangels School, and plates have fallen off the bollards that tell you you're on the cycle route. One of them is buried in a hedge, and then when you get up to the end of the cycle route, which is where basically kids are going to have to rejoin the carriageway, all the signage on the ground has been worn away, so it's just a few white dots, and it should actually be directing cyclists where they should go next. I mean, personally, I query about how safe that is, but nevertheless, the signage has gone. So there are a few more places that we've spotted things. So we'll just raise tickets. I mean, it's obviously not going to, I mean, working, we've got loads of this stuff to do, but if we don't get it on the list, it'll never
So
get
you have
fixed.
raised that, have you?
I've got those two on. I've got a couple more things to raise. I mean, one of the is to do with overhanging branches. Then I've got one of those two. But as I say, it's quite painful to actually get that interactive map working. But yeah, so we'll carry on doing that on the back of the cycling network work
Can
we're
I help
doing.
you with that interactive map?
Oh, are you good on that? Right. Yes, please. I've been trying to get some sense out of them today, and I've been bounced around about 3 different people who say they can't answer it. But anyway, I'll catch up with you afterwards.
I'll have a try.
Mm.
If not, I know a man who can.
All right. Or his rate's reasonable.
Okay, any other highways issues before we move on to the next, which is community issues? Any thing on
Yeah.
community?
There's, okay. As I've been travelling the streets of Woodley in this, okay, because I have now lost my driving licence. Right, I can't drive for medical reasons any longer, and because I reached 70 in June. Right, and I know you gentlemen should all say you don't look it.
I'm surprised that David could get a house on Harriet's Close. If you've got to be over 55, I'm surprised you got one. So,
But anyway, I have noticed that some of the pavements are despicable, okay, for using a wheelchair on. This isn't legal to use on the roads, okay?
so you've got to use the pavement.
So you've got to use the pavement, okay? You can't even use some of the scooters on the roads, you have to use the pavement, right? And on some of the Woodley roads, they drive so fast, there's no speed restriction. Some of them don't have a some cars don't have a speed restriction, didn't you know? You can do 70 up Church Road, no one else. Right? But the pavements desperately need looking at. They don't just need a shovel of tarmac putting in them and leaving. Okay, on Telford Crescent, there's all the footpaths have been repaired 6 times due to the cables and television and gas and everything. And there are so many different surface levels there that it's ridiculous and it's hard on my bum, I can tell you. Okay.
I think that's general, isn't it? If you go driving around Woodley, where they've done cable work, they're doing gas work, and they're doing water main work, they're all different levels.
Appalling.
Yeah.
The roads from here, the footpaths from here on the town centre to where I live on Telford Crescent, I've tried 3 ways and they're all appalling. Okay. And they're dangerous. They're really dangerous. And I can tell you that on, what's the name of the road? The road where St John Bosco Church is.
Western Avenue.
Yeah. There are tree trunks that are growing halfway out into the pavement, but the roots of these older established trees have actually grown through the pavement so that they're sticking up by a good 6 inches. Well, that is a public danger that I presume Wokingham could be sued for if anyone tripped over it.
Trouble is, chopping trees down is not a popular move, is it?
We know it's not
a
a popular move, but they could at least ramp over the tree trunks.
Yes,
Do it beautifully.
And it's not our job to find the solutions to things, is it? It's our job to flag them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you've got a list of places, I'm very happy to make representations to work.
I'm going to start making a list on my travels.
Yeah.
But one of the big problems I find is all these conifer trees that people have planted as hedges, and beech trees people have planted as hedges that have been allowed to grow out of the property boundary and cover half the footpath.
Yeah.
And as I said, the park is responsible for one of them. Okay.
Could we put this as an agenda item for next time and then canvass amongst all the councillors for examples of
Yeah, because I can't get around all the streets of Woodley by myself. But
I would say something about the nail bar on the corner of the precinct, where the first time I took my dad out in the wheelchair, I'm breezing along and the camber on it, I was nearly in the road. I mean, how people cope with that, I don't know. As you go around the corner, you have to sort of brace yourself. So
I thought I was going to tip backwards in my wheelchair with the camber on that.
Yeah, it's so.
Some of the campers on some of the footpaths are really quite.
So we want
And there's
a
some,
sort of survey on the condition of the pavements and the condition of overhanging.
yeah,
foliage.
and on pavements and parts pavements that have been left unramped at the end. On Butts Hill Road, they've got they've got ramps on the pavements that come all the way down the road. From what's the name of the road at the top?
Butts Hill Road.
Not Butts Hill Road, Church
Headley
Road.
Road.
Church Road.
Church Road.
Okay, all the way down from where I live, near Glendevon. They've all been ramped, and then when you get to where the bus stop is, there's no ramp. There's a 30-metre pavement to go along, but there's no ramp.
Right, okay, these all really need highlighting, so.
And a lot of the ramps, the camber on the corner is so steep, you have to go along the road to actually find where they've ramped the garage. And actually use the garage, use their ramp to actually get up and down the curb.
Okay.
Again, you know, we know that there's strapped for cash and what have you, but if we don't log these things, firstly, they'll never get done, but secondly, floating around to where? And we can't complain if they're not aware, so we need to tell them, and then how it gets funded.
I can tell you all the ones that are done illegally as well, if you want.
Yeah.
I know that,
Well,
because
anybody who's got details of any roads or any hedgerows that are encroaching on the pavement that need to be looked at, we'll make a list and perhaps be able to list that, send that list away.
Councillor Hawkins has his hand
Yeah.
up.
I'll go out with my notebook in future.
Robert.
Thanks, Bill. Surely Wokingham Borough Council must have an accessibility officer, someone that looks out at these areas and makes sure that people with all sorts of mobility issues can actually access their own residential streets and facilities. They must have somebody that's actually in charge of looking at this, surely.
Actually, they do have an access officer, but apparently that isn't considered part of her responsibility. She's concerned more about access to buildings.
Ah, right. Yeah, yeah.
And they did function for 3 years without one.
Right.
Classic
It's not
case
right,
of
is
not
it?
my
It's not
job.
right.
Not my job.
Yeah, it's not right, that. No.
I mean, the problem you've got with pavers, and you say about hedgerows growing out, I mean, Jack must have that problem, he sat there, and, you know, so if you're going along the pavement and suddenly there's a bush that's overgrown the pavement, you'd whack your head on it, wouldn't you? So it must be a problem all round.
I'm very happy to find out who we should be speaking to.
I've seen
about
Jack bump into this one here by the park on his way home. Frequently he catches it because the tip on his stick doesn't pick up the hedgerow. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Am I right, Jack?
Thank you. Yeah, we'll try to get a list together, if we do that stuff, do you know, and,
Keith has his hand up, so-
yeah, Keith.
Yeah, I was just picking up the business of the accessibility officer. She says, well, actually, I'm only to do with this part. But accessibility is right across the board. It's footpaths, it's highways, it's access to roads, parks, etc. And a long time ago, there was an issue with the GRT, you know, Gypsy Romany Travellers, had exactly the same issue. That there was somebody who was looking after that community, generally in the social side, you know, the children's services side, but there wasn't anybody else. Yet the GRT community is not just housing, education, it's highways, blah, 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 blah. And what the then leader of the council did and asked me to add responsibility for what was then the GRT. I'm not quite sure what they are now, what the phrase is, across the whole of the council. So I had an executive role. And you know what? It was actually quite illuminating. I learned a lot about the traveller community, both those that are in bricks and mortar and those who are actually travelling. But it worked because I was overseeing the whole area. Maybe on the back of what we're talking about in this list, etc., we ought to recommend to Stephen Conway, who's the leader of the council, that one of his executive members should take on the role, in addition to what they're already doing, of being the executive member responsible for accessibility. There may well be one, I doubt it. I think he'd be quite amenable to that. He's quite a sensible chap. We ought to write to him to do that. It's just a suggestion.
I could borrow an electric wheelchair for him to come for a ride with me in it. I'll show him what I mean.
Show me where the problems are, yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
We're still on community issues.
Community issues, yes.
I've just got two things. One is you may remember, I mean, not this May, the May before, we were talking about EV charging, and you remember we had the strange point up on I think it was Weevil Drive, it was kind of unusable. And one of the things that we mentioned at the time when we were just sort of chatting amongst ourselves was, why isn't it possible to have a safe way of running a cable across the pavement into somebody's house where they haven't got a drive, but they could plug in indoors? Well, lo and behold, I've just read that the government have set up a £25 million fund, which is part of their EV investment package, to local authorities to help install cross pavement charging where there's no driveway, and local authorities have been invited to sort of bid for that, apply for the grant by the 31st of October. And I wondered if we could ask Wokingham whether they have applied for that. I'll send you the link that I found, and I mean it's actually quite nutty the way they do it. Apparently it takes about an hour to install, and you know, it leaves the pavement okay for people in wheelchairs and with buggies and what have you.
Not if Wokingham men are doing it.
But it's, you know, it's kind of money that's available, so it'd be interesting to see
Right,
the
we
picture.
can ask that question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor.
Yeah, Robert.
Yeah, sorry, Bill. It's just going to go back to what Keith just said about a suggestion that we should ask them to look at the accessibility within the area. Ask the chief executive to look at accessibility. Can we actually do that? Can we actually, as a council, please, or as a committee, please write to Stephen Conway and ask him to get on with this and actually do it, not just suggest it? Thank you.
Be a bit more false what he means. Okay, thank you. Yes.
And just the other thing I just wanted to raise, again, we had some discussion a little while ago about the fact that, you know, the perennial issue of people cycling or scooting or what have you through the precinct, which, you know, we had a lot of sort of complaints about. I think I circulated to you all just a little, it's kind of a homemade sign that they've got up on the university where they've actually specifically said excluded all wheelers, so not just cycles but scooters and skateboards from it's the Harris Gardens, in fact. Now I understand from Brian, he and Kevin, you've had a wander around and looked at what we've got at the moment. And Brian said if there's anything else we want to raise, to let him know. So I'm really just asking whether we think what we've got at the moment, which is the kind of official no cycling signs, whether we wanted to add anything else to that. So I'll just kind of leave that with you.
I think they were originally. I don't know whether it still is. I mean, there must have been. I've looked. It's actually painted onto the pavement.
That's been flagged as.
There is signage on the lampposts on almost all of those. I mean, some of them are quite high, probably necessarily so because of the other signage actually being at the same height. Some of the painting on the paved areas does need redoing, and Brian's asked for that to be redone. It's also it's kind of a typeface that's not particularly, doesn't stand out very well. Looks like it could be done better to be more prominent, but I know he's asked Wokingham to do that.
But again, I'd say all that signage is focused on cycling, and lots of the complaints we've had around scooters, which is a bit awkward, isn't it? Because the electric ones are illegal anyway.
Yes.
So I appreciate it's a bit. Oh, good.
Can we get signs to actually put up saying, please dismount your bicycle now?
They wouldn't.
On the entrance?
Most of them had claimed they couldn't read.
No, well, yeah, I agree that a lot of them can't read. But one of the first comments you get if you address someone about cycling, oh, there's no signs. I didn't see a sign. If we had a sign that said, please dismount your bicycle now on entry. But other than that, I mean, the painted signs on the road, they really need repainting. And cyclists particularly are looking straight in front of them at the road, so they will see it on the pavement, whereas they may not look up at the signposts.
Keith?
Thank you. Couple comments. June, I like the concept of this sign that they've got at the university, no wheelers. Unfortunately, that would prohibit people with buggies, with prams, because they have wheels as well. Anyway, that was the real reason why I put my hand up, is we're coming up with some great suggestions across the board here, and we talk about writing to WBC. Can we make sure when we write to WBC, because officers that generally think residents are a pain in the arse and councillors are even worse, okay, always include the relevant executive member responsible. So like the signage, like the issue with the accessibility on the footpaths, etc., you'll contact the highways officer, but also contact the executive member responsible for highways and transport, the bus issue, etc. Because in theory, they've got clout, because officers, if the executive member doesn't know about it, officers can quite easily make up their own mind and decide whatever their response is going to be. Whereas if you involve the executive member, maybe, just maybe, they will actually understand what you're talking about from a resident's point of view, and they have the authority, the power to turn around to the officer to say, no, you will do this, or you will not do this. But if the executive member isn't aware of the issue, then they can't do anything, they can't help and assist. So I think it's important every time, it's clearly definable, we contact the exec member as well. And if it isn't clearly defined, well, that's what the leader's there for. You know, Stephen Conway. And he is a sensible guy. Just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Right, anything else on community before we move on? No, okay. Future agenda items. Anything that we need to put on to next agenda? Nope. And publicity and website. Anything at all to go on to there? Nope. Okay. Based on that, I'll bring the meeting to a close and thank you all for attending. Thanks very much.